Video content creation ideas. OMG, it can be so frustrating to come up with content ideas, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you're a veteran creating content and sometimes you just are at a lack of ideas, or if you're new to creating content and you don't know how to get started with your content creation ideas process, then I am going to go over the top reasons why you can't come up with ideas. We're going to fix that for you. And also we're going to talk about an easy brainstorming process. And then we're going to go into Q&A. So get those questions ready. If you are watching the live stream of this, put a Q in front of your question. If you're watching the replay, just drop a comment below. But one quick thing for today's brainstorming lesson, I'm going to teach you what to do. You need a few props, Post-its and a pen. So you don't actually need these, but who's a Post-it kind of person? Type Post-its in the comments because I need to know. I mean, I got all the colors. Well, not all the colors, but a good start to the colors. And we can have a lot of fun with Post-its and create a brainstorming process that is fun and easy for you to come up with those ideas. So if you're new around here, do type new in the comments. I would love, love, love to meet you. And if you don't know me, well, I'm Lori Petrucci from Live Streaming Pros, where I help you create professional live video that is uniquely you. And I'm so thrilled to have you here. Let's dive in to the top reasons why people actually have a really hard time coming up with content ideas. And those problems that people are facing really boil down to a few things, five things actually. So I'm going to go through these 5 things, and I want you to start accepting that you have everything you need to be able to come up with all the content ideas at any time you need. Literally, little secret pro tip. Well, not a pro tip, but this is what your goal is. I can not have anything planned for a live stream and about 30 minutes before come up with a content idea because I have a bank of them in my head. I have a bank of them on Post-its or a spreadsheet. I always have content ideas ready to go. And even if none of them look good, I can always tap into the thing that we're unlocking today in our brain 30 minutes before and just come up with something out of the blue. So that is what you're going to be able to do once you get going and once you get good at this process. So really quick, I want to say hi to Arturo, who is new. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to hear a little bit about you. So leave us a comment and tell us if you're a streamer or where you're watching from. Okay. So the first reason that people can't come up with video content creation ideas is that they're thinking too granular or specific. They're trying to get way too specific instead of thinking about that big picture. So if you start with that big picture, the granular or the more specific things will come, but you have to start at that top level, the big picture. What is it you're trying to accomplish with your viewers? What is it they want? And we'll talk about that here shortly as well. But when you think big picture and aware of all of the possibilities, then those content creation ideas start coming. Okay. And then you can start with big picture and you can kind of work your way down. Jose, thank you so much for being new. I'm thrilled to have you here. So another thing is when you are thinking big picture, or the alternative mistake is thinking way too granular or specific, what you struggle with is that you're thinking your content ideas are too basic. I hear this one a lot from our students, and it's a thing in your brain that we just gotta unlock. Okay, so you're thinking that you need to get more advanced with your audience, but that's actually not the case. What we want to do is keep it basic, because if you think about your content, your free content that you're doing on live stream, videos, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, those are all your free content, right? And you're actually trying to attract as many possible people as you can through that free content right at the top of your funnel. And the funnel is the path that your customer is taking from free viewer to customer and deeper from there. But at that top, we want to keep it basic, right? So don't ever worry about being too basic. I want you to be basic at the top, right? So sometimes we do go into more advanced things inside of this live stream content, but for the most part, it is at the basic level because we have workshops that bring you down into the funnels, because the truth of the matter is content can only be consumed on a free level so much so. Like, people don't necessarily want they want the advanced, but they're not actually paying attention to the advanced on the free content. Once they invest and they put their time and energy and money into actually learning something more advanced, that's when they actually start to get results. Because with the free content, they're getting distracted, they're just watching a stream or a video, they may lose interest, right? So you can't go as deep in the free content. So I just want to unlock that. Who has had, CK says, yay, I finally get to be basic. Who has had problems with that basic concept and unlocking that? Daryl, yes, thank you so much for coming back into my world. Welcome back. Okay, so so the third reason that content creators can't come up with content creation ideas is that they're too focused on what you want rather than what your viewer wants. So again, we need to think big picture. We need to understand who it is we're talking to in the first place. And so you want to create content that your audience actually wants. Sometimes we as content creators say, I know my audience wants this, but what they need is this. And when you do that, you're not meeting them where they are. Basic communication 101, meet your audience, the person you're talking to, where they are in their brain space. Talk to them like they talk. And then you can tell them what they need to hear. But you guys don't come into my world wanting to hear or asking to hear, excuse me, that your mindset is an issue. You don't come into my world asking about mindset, but I will cover that. I do cover that in various ways, especially in my paid content. But I meet you where you are, asking about the tech, asking about audience growth, asking about how to make more money. Those are the things that you want from me, right? Creating better content. And so I meet you where you are. So think about your audience and what they want, not what you want to deliver. There has to be a middle ground there. Now, the other couple things that people struggle with when it comes to this is the fact that they're not looking at the data. The data will tell you a lot, a lot. And so, you can create all the content you want, but we sometimes create content around here that I think is just going to be awesome because people are asking about it. And I'm like, yes, people want to know this. And then it fails miserably. And if I look at the data and create content based on the data, I'm going to be able to create content that people are actually wanting, searching for. I can grow my audience. I can tap into more people, and I can help more people from that perspective. And then I can help them with what they actually need, right? Only once you get their attention can you help them with what they need, but they need to start with that. So look at the data, let the data drive your decisions to a point, right? There are some videos that I'll do even though I know the data says no go, because I know you need it, the core audience who are engaged already, right? So there's a bit of a balancing act there, but that can help you tremendously grow your audience and create the right kind of converting content. And then also the final thing is that people don't think they know enough. So when you're how many of you have done this? Give me a big yes in the comments if you're watching live. You struggle with coming up with content creation ideas because you don't think you know all the things. You don't feel, you have imposter syndrome. Maybe you don't feel like you're as good as you would like to be. There's a big yes, 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 yes. I see lots of yeses. This is one of the biggies, okay? You know so much more than you realize you know. And this is the key to unlocking that video content creation ideas flood. So once you realize, I don't have to worry about content creation ideas because I know so much more than my audience knows, or even a little bit more than my audience knows. And that's all I need to concentrate on. Okay. So I have 15 years of experience in front of the camera, creating content, doing, YouTube videos, live streams, recorded videos, TV, all of the things. I have so much experience doing that. My audience, I could talk to them for 15 years based on the content that I know, but I also don't share all of it all at once, right? You have to kind of manage that. But when you realize, even if you don't have as much experience as I do in your topic, then you are not, just make sure that you're not promising that you're an expert in something that you're not. But also, don't let the imposter syndrome get in your way. But if you wrote down, and we're going to tackle this in the brainstorming session, if you wrote down everything you knew about a topic, you would be blown, your mind would be blown about how much it is you know. Then your job is to brainstorm, sort through that information, and start delivering it. Thank you so much, Jason, for the $6.99 super chat. Happy Wednesday. By the way, I missed a new supporter. Welcome to our member, Michael Heck. Thank you so much for being here. I love all the yeses still coming through. Holy cow. Good idea to keep a little back. It's not about holding back, right? It's about making sure that you are meeting your audience where they are. And we're going to tackle the brainstorming process to help you do that here in just a second. But I want to make sure that you understand that a lot of this content creation process, thinking that you don't know as much as you do, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Lamb, who my button isn't working, but wait for it. Why doesn't my button work when I wanted to? This guy, Lamb, the live adrenaline monster, he is part of the biggest problem with you coming up with content creation ideas. This is the monster that you are trying to tame, okay? We need to tame that monster, and when you see him in action, I mean, he wasn't that scary after all, right? He's that guy telling you that you don't know enough, that you can't come up with ideas, that when you go live or create a video, you're going to forget what you're going to say. He's the guy telling you that people are going to hate you. He's the guy that we need to tame. We're going to tame the monster by joining Lita. Actually, by doing all of the things I'm talking about today, and especially the brainstorm process. But I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to join us in Lita live every day in August. This is a completely free challenge that I run only twice a year, in April and August. And we tame the Lamb monster, okay? I'm going to give you a mission every single day. I'm going to tell you exactly what to say and what to do, so you don't even have to think about content creation ideas, so that by the time you get past the 30 days, your brain is going to be like, I can do this, no problem. I got this, right? I'm magical, just like Mr. Paul Dixon. But you are going to have all of the tools in your tool belt to be able to actually go live comfortably to your audience. You're going to have more confidence on camera, or record videos, or even just get on Zoom and do better presentations or meetings, okay? So you are going to be able to do so much if you join the Lita Challenge live every day in April. And we do close the doors on new entries as of April 6th. So make sure that you dig in, that you get in. The Facebook group is open already, and April 1st, we kick off that challenge. So get in there, get ready, get prepared to get more confident on camera. All right, so let's talk about the brainstorming process. So I told you that if you were to write down everything you know, you would be amazed at how much you know. And that takes a little bit of brainstorming. I want you to grab your Post-its, okay, whatever colors. You could even create different buckets of content ideas or advancement levels by your colors of Post-its if you want to get crazy. I saw a bunch of people say that they were Post-it lovers. I'm such a Post-it lover. I love it. But you can also do this on a piece of paper if you don't have Post-its or don't like Post-its. If you don't like Post-its, I don't know what you're doing here, though, to be honest. I'm just kidding. But you can do this however you want. I just want you to turn off all of your distractions, and I want you to get into brainstorming mode. I hated brainstorming so much when I was a kid, and they told me to do this, but I have come to love it. School was right, after all. Brainstorming is important. And I really hated it because I felt so much pressure. So I don't want you to feel pressure. I want you to relax into it and just allow your brain to open up. Then I want you to put as many ideas on these Post-its as you can think about and ask yourself, what do I know about XYZ topic, your topic? Maybe start with the top questions that people ask you. Then think about what people are asking other content creators in your space. Look at Facebook groups, things like that, right? Let's geek out with the Post-its. Yeah, totally, right? What are people asking about? But also, what do you know? Go through your experiences, go through your challenges that you've faced, and look for everything you could possibly say about it, okay? Write them all down. However you decide to do that, bucketize them, I don't care, whatever. Then I want you to put them on a wall. Like find an empty wall and put all these stickets up. Stickets? These now have a new name. These are stickets. And put them up. And then I want you to look at your audience's pain points and the problems that they're trying to solve. And I want you to think about the logical process that they need to go through in order to accomplish the end result that they're looking to do, right? So yes, 10 questions that they should be asking. This is also a great option as well. Yeah, whatever works. If you have a rocket book, a whiteboard, whatever. The whiteboards, as much of a whiteboard lover as I am, the whiteboards actually make it a little bit more difficult to move things around or move ideas around, right? So if we're looking at the flow of where your audience is starting from to where they need to go, that will help you start to process the information and look at it from a logical, cohesive content process. And that is exactly what I help you do inside of the content workshop that is coming up very soon, if not already out by the time you're watching this. That content workshop is the Content Growth Strategy Workshop, where I help you create the right content that converts, get more viewers, get more engagement. Who needs more engagement, right? And get more revenue. So those three things. But I dive deeper into this process of content creation, so you can get on the waiting list or go ahead and get the workshop if it's out by the time you're watching this at livestreamingpros.com/content. But I want you to think about that flow, right? Think about your audience, think about how they're struggling. They can't start over here. They need to start over here. Now, let's keep in mind that a lot of the paid content, if you're creating a course or things like that some of the content ideas that you throw up here may not be right for free content, for your live streams. And that can get moved over to course content ideas. But keep it basic, like I said before, right? Start with that basic. And occasionally you can go a little bit more advanced. But keep in mind that you're trying to attract the larger audience who are going to be more basic. So, yeah, think about free versus paid content, but also don't put too much pressure on yourself. I just want you to start thinking about those content ideas and get that out of your brain so that you can see just how much you actually know. And guess what? When you do that, you will have tamed this little monster called Lamb, the live adrenaline monster. Because now you have all of the content creation ideas that you could handle. And you probably have a year's worth of content. So how do you do this on a regular basis? This is a one time or every so often kind of project. But how do you do this on a regular basis where you are constantly coming up with content ideas? I said at the beginning of this video that I'm able to not have anything planned, prepped, or anything and go live with a great content concept because I'm always at the ready with ideas. How do I do that? Well, you got to practice it. You have to allow your life to match the idea creation process. Meaning, you look at your life from a content perspective. What did you do that day that could be turned into a lesson that might answer a problem or a question for your audience? What piece of gear did you get? For me, that's a big one, right? So did I get a piece of mail today that is a piece of gear that people would want to see? What do I have lying around in my studio? A little prompter? I could do a video about that, right? That it doesn't matter, but also look at your life as a whole, not just your work. What did your kids say that was hilarious that could be turned into a lesson for your audience? How can you massage the stories and the examples that you're living so that you're creating content that actually converts? Because part of creating content that converts is that people feel like it is uniquely you, that it's tapping into your personality. So when you integrate those stories and weave them into the lessons that you're trying to help your audience achieve, that's when the gold really, truly happens. And so that is what your mission is. I want you to actually start with that brainstorming process, right? We talked about why you're struggling. So now those mindset issues gone. Then you're going to go into the brainstorm process, and then you're going to practice with thinking through your day as if it were content. I know that sounds silly, but that's how I live my life. Everything is potential content gold for me. So if I don't do anything that day, like literally stay in bed, I can still come up with a story or an example and weave that into my content at some point. So think about that, practice, start looking for ways to answer your audience's problems and issues that they're facing. I hope that this has been super helpful. Definitely check out this playlist about content creation and to help you get over the problems that you face in your business creating content so that you can actually create content that converts. And I would love, love, love to see you in the Lead a Challenge if you're not already, or grab the content workshop so that you can create that content that converts. I will see you in the next video.